What's up, everyone? Digital Golf Doc today. We're talking Tiger Woods, the one and only. So we all know went through the car crash. He's in the recovery process. There was some stuff about him hitting on the range the other day, and that naturally led down a path where it talked about his kind of rehab and his preparation process. I thought it was really interesting. I saw someone post a um, snapshot of what his typical day looked like back when he was playing golf all the time and dominating. And it really lines up with a lot of stuff I've seen about Tiger in the past. And honestly, his workout plan is horrible. It violates nearly all the strength and conditioning principles that we want to hold true, that we know are effective, and he was butchering them. So, first of all, it's just an immense congratulations to him for having a talent so great that even if he was missing on that stuff, he's still the most dominant golfer ever. So his talent is outer worldly and cannot be measured. But for some of you who are looking to improve your game just a little bit, or you college players just trying to get 0.5% better to keep up or take over your peers, that's not the way to do it. And I want to walk you through step by step what the problem with this workout was. I'll compare it to my most recent workout, which really emphasizes most of these golf specific training principles. And I think you'll pick up on the differences pretty easy. So the first things I want to note with Tiger's workout is the first thing he does is run 4 miles. So anytime we're talking about preparing for a sport, the question is, what does your sport require you to do? You should be good at that if you want to be excelling at your sport, maximizing your talent levels. Well, Tiger runs 4 miles in the morning and then runs 4 miles later. You barely walk 5 or 6 miles on the golf course, and you certainly don't run that. So he's training his aerobic system in a way that it just isn't used in golf. So it doesn't really make any sense. There is no transferable principle there to say that running is going to make someone better at golf. Golf is just not much of a cardio sport. If you can walk the course, then you're doing just fine. And you should be focusing on those plyometric moments of these massive swing speeds, trying to hit it a little bit farther or trying to add control to the speed you already do have. So I've got a video actually all about cardio for golfers and how it's really just misunderstood and it's really not needed for golf performance. Now, great for individual general health, absolutely. Golf performance, no, it just doesn't fit the picture. Then he goes to the gym, and I haven't seen any specifics on what he does in the gym, but if it matches up with a lot of the other stuff he does, I think there's potential that he might just make things difficult as opposed to making them effective, right? There's a difference between a workout that leaves you drenched in sweat, panting out of breath on the floor because you're tired, and a workout that's effective. Again, we want to mimic the sport of golf. So what is golf? Plyometric movement, one swing, rest, recover, walk a little bit, next swing. So if we're talking about the transition to sport, what we want to see is explosive movements, expressing strength, and then some hypertrophic strength training to build strength. Because if you have more muscle, you're going to be able to express more strength as well. So you would have to kind of walk those two together. Now, Tiger must have done at least some of this stuff pretty well in the gym because during part of his career, he was absolutely ripped. I don't know how much he kept up with the mobility training. Anytime you see knee injuries, back injuries, you wonder how mobile were the hips. Was he really creating a body resilient against the stress he was putting on it? And I don't have those answers. If Tiger ever wants to talk to me, would love to sit down and talk to him, obviously. Then he plays on the course. He works on some short game. Again, if we're going to nitpick something about Tiger, I think you get away with the gym stuff, but I don't think you can get away with this practice. I actually teach a class called Motor Learning and Movement Control, and that class is all about how we learn movement patterns and how we get really good at them. And I think Tiger is a beautiful example of that because if you look at Tiger's practice, a lot of the quotes I've seen him over the years has talked about how focused he was during practice. He would try and hit the 9 shots. He would hit them in order. So he'd hit draw and he'd hit fade and he'd switch clubs. And that's exactly what you want to do in practice. Practice for golf is not hitting a 7-iron 25 times in a row. That has very little transferability to the golf course because you don't hit the 7-iron 25 times in a row. Really, your best hitting, stepping off, or trying to hit a different shot So you're trying different skills. With golf, you're constantly putting a different skill after another one, right? You hit driver, and then you hit 6-iron, and then you maybe wedge or you're putting. So we're always going from one thing to the other. So we don't want to practice in a way that does not mimic how we play. So that's why I like that he spends time on course. I like that he spends time in the short game. I know he's a guy, at least from the quotes and reading I've seen, that who's constantly trying different types of shots to get the feel for those. So I think he's giving himself every single situation in practice, so that when he faces it on the course, he knows what to do and he knows how to do it. So I think Tiger certainly excels at practice. You cannot have a talent like his without excelling at the practice part. So the next question might be, well, what should a golf workout look like? Well, I wrote mine down on the board, and I do that sometimes when I'm trying to keep track, and I just walk you through what I do and why I do it. So the first thing you'll see on that board is I like to start with a yoga flow, right? So every time we're trying to increase mobility and control, it's really these flowing movements, this controlled lengthening of muscles that's really effective, as opposed to static stretching. Static stretching is, in the research, just performs very poorly. It doesn't tend to increase motion very much at all, if has completely no effect at all. So I like to do these yoga flows, down dog to cobra, push-ups and shoulder taps for chest and arms to warm up. WGS is world's greatest stretch, which gets into the legs a lot more. Then I go finally with a pretzel breathing motion, which is just kind of a final mobility opener before I go into the plyometric training. Now, the plyometric training, that is the key for golf right there, right? Explosive strength is golf. So I've got medicine ball slams. I've got them a half kneeling position for today. This is the way I write my workouts. I do these medicine ball slams in different positions. Today happens to be heavy on the half kneeling motions. 6 rounds of it. So I've got 6 rounds of 5, 6 rounds of 3. That's each side, and then these split squat weight drums. So I'm spending a vast majority of my workout focusing on plyometric strength, which has great transferability to golf. Then I go in and I work strength at the bottom, but I keep a little bit of power in here. So I've got deadlifts, you'll see there. That's kind of a pure strengthening movement, at least the way I designed this workout. And you look at barbell bench. I actually have 2 sets of 10 reps of power where I'm actually focusing on speed of the bar. Before then I go down to 3 sets of 6 to 8 working on strength. Then I go with an adductor rock and thread the needle, which is just a mobility exercise. You'll see those are all numbered the same, so I actually do those in a grouping, right? So I can work my legs, I can work my arms, and I can work mobility. By the time I finish that stuff, I can return to my deadlifts having fully recovered, but not just stood around for 2 to 3 minutes as I was recovering. So that's more an efficiency thing, right? We all run out of time, not enough hours in the day. So we want to make a workout effective and efficient. And then I go down into RFES, which is rear foot elevated squats. Again, you'll see I've got 2 sets of 5 reps, actually jumping in the rear foot elevated squats. Again, plyometric power. Then I've got 3 sets of strengthening. Pull-ups is just a pure lat builder for strength. For me, again, in this particular workout. Pal-off twist, I'm actually going to take the individual set and break it in half, where I do half of them for speed and plyometric strength and half with the control focus. So if you're talking about what the current strength and conditioning science says for a workout for a golfer, this is what you're talking about it looking like. Now, it fits into this large, big plan overall, and this is only a piece of it, so it doesn't have every single principle. But if I put this together with my whole month's worth of workouts, you'll see that the principles line up very well. So, I wonder all of the time about Tiger, as most golf fans do. He obviously has faced a lot of injuries, and he's obviously one of, if not the most talented golfer ever. So what I want to know is could he have potentially prevented or maybe limited the injuries if he would have trained the way that he should have versus training like a Navy SEAL and running. I mean, I even read that he used to run in combat boots. It doesn't make sense for golf. That's not to say he's not a terrific athlete. He is. Tiger is an immensely gifted athlete, but I wonder how much some of doing the wrong things ended up catching up to him. So again, this is the difference between what Tiger did, what Tiger should have done. If you have any questions on this, I love answering them. If you have questions on adjacent topics, leave them in the comments below. Send me an email at digitalgolfdoc@gmail.com. Um, I think about this stuff all day, every day. I love it. So I'm always happy to answer your guys' questions. Thanks. Have a great rest of the day and train a little bit more like this and a little bit less like Tiger.